Yeah, so thanks for joining us, Claire. And we're just going to chat about when women speak, what exactly, what exactly we know about it so far. Yeah, so I'm trying to think back to where it started. I won't give you War and Peace, but um, quite a few years ago, I really I had an idea about there being some sort of global network that was around supporting women to share their experiences, but not in a, what I saw was there was either this group of women that were having like rituals type things, like a women's circles, that type of thing, or meeting around a campfire barefoot, that type of stuff, or there were these corporate kind of networking style events, and there didn't seem to be anything in between. So you could be like this kind of uber spiritual, but with a lot of stuff going on with it, or it could be not spiritual at all and just very business focused. So I had this idea: wouldn't it be nice if there was just something in the middle? But that idea then kind of went away again. Well, I say went away. It's kind of just hovered around. And then I met Nicola, and we just got talking about this type of idea. And initially, we were still thinking it would be some sort of global networking groups for women, and we decided to open it up for a discussion group, just to see what people thought about it. And we didn't have a name for it or anything like that. So we opened this group, and then we weren't inviting people to it or doing anything.
Because I was like shitting my pants for some reason. Wasn't I? I was like, I'm really scared and I don't know why, Sara.
Yeah. And and the next bit was, well, what happened really with you, wasn't it, Nicola?
Yeah, I was basically on a call with one of my clients after my event in March, and she had watched a video of one of the attendees just sharing something in the group that had been created, and she'd had an insight as to what steps she wanted to take next as a result of that, watching that video, but it wasn't connected to the content of the video. It was just like one word that this woman had said in the video, and I just sat back and I just went, oh, it's just when women speak. And then I got all jittery and had to write that down really quickly, and I thought, fuck, that's it, because I think we were called Be Seen, Be Heard before that or something. We're just like, it was a name that was a bit like didn't mean anything. And then I said to Sara, it's when women speak, that's what it's called, that's what it is. And then as soon as that was in place, I felt ready to open the doors, and we did.
But then we discovered when women speak isn't about women in business. When women speak is actually about knowing what and who we truly are, and experiencing life, living life from that space of knowing. And then Nicola and I are going to, and the mentors that work with us are going to support any woman that wants to lead their own group and have it rooted in this understanding of what and who we truly are and how this human experience works. But the group itself could be anything. So we've got, in this discussion group that we've got going at the moment, there's someone that said that they want to work with teenagers. There's someone that said they want to work with pregnant women. There's someone who wants to work with business women. There's someone who wants to work with people who are sort of midlife. There's just a whole variety of different expressions going on, but not all necessarily about business. And also these groups, some will be free, some people might be charging, goodness knows what. That's entirely up to the people that are running their groups. But the golden thread is that it's all rooted in the inside out understanding, knowing what and who we truly are, and just allowing whatever comes from that to come. I mean, the ripple effects already in my own life, and I know in Nicola's life and working with our clients in this way, is just incredible. Mm-hmm. So for that to be happening on a global
cool.
yeah.
So Sarah, anyone who signs up to it would they have a mentor? Is that right? They have someone they work with who will help them in whatever they need to do to set up groups and look at who they want to speak to. And is that right? Is that how it works?
When Nicola and I had a day together to kind of first of all, we had a webinar call with any of the women that were able to, who were in the discussion group, to come on and share their ideas about what they would like. And then Nicola and I took that information and we had a day together, a really fun day.
Yeah.
And what we're looking at right now is there being fortnight. So basically Nicola and I would be the main kind of trainers. We're not really training people per se, but we're the ones sort of pointing the leaders, the women leaders, in this direction. And then we would have fortnightly webinars with a mentor. So the mentors would run these fortnightly webinars. That's what we're looking at the moment, because one of the things we're really keen to do is to keep the price point for this as accessible as we possibly can. So if it was going to be a case of there being lots of one-to-one mentors, it's going to potentially inflate the price. So we're trying to we're looking at how do we keep it so that as many people as possible who are interested in leading their own groups are able to jump on board. So it's looking like the mentors will be delivering fortnightly webinars at the moment.
Nice.
Was I clear in that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very clear. Yeah. And all of the people who signed up can attend these webinars and ask questions on them. And
yes, yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, and they'll be recorded as well, so that so people can then obviously go back to them as well. Plus, there'll be for those that are able to get to them, there'll be quarterly in-person, like I said, training. Get-togethers as well. We're looking at something which is that obviously the leaders can also listen to, but anyone will be able to listen to, is a When Women Speak podcast. Mm-hmm. So that's one of our ways of speaking to more people.
Really nice. Cool. And do you have the mentors already in place?
We've got a few people that have said that they are interested. So it's just a case of just launching really, and seeing how many people do want to jump in straight away, and going from there. But I think we've got around about 8 mentors, Nicola.
Yeah,
I think it's something like that. About eight. Yeah,
something like that. I don't know where my notes are. Which book my notes are in.
But we're trying to keep it as loose as possible, so that we can just allow it to unfold and see what happens. Not be too kind of prescriptive with it, because we're really open to what already this is unfolded without us doing anything.
I'm really getting the sense of that. So cool, isn't it?
And when we initially were inviting people into the discussion group, the women that have gone live in the group and sharing, and it's just been phenomenal. Just hearing what everybody's got to say, and quite a few people have been saying how it feels like When Women Speak has always been here. And I joked Nicola and I had a joke, because I said, it doesn't feel like we're birthing something new. It feels like it's an old codger.
Given a new
nice image.
Yeah, very cool. It's really nice. I love it. Yeah. Do people sign up for a certain amount of time?
It's an ongoing membership. So when Women Speak will be an umbrella brand. So if somebody already had a business and they wanted to run a group and have it badged up as When Women Speak, they can do that. So we're looking at there's two options. We're looking at a licensing option. So someone who doesn't feel that they want to be part of the leaders community and have the fortnightly mentorship and all of everything that comes with that, they would be able to purchase the license, and there'd be just some sort of process so that we know that they are pointing people in the it actually fits with what we're talking about. But the leaders community, one of the reasons we're wanting to keep the price point really accessible is so that it just makes sense to stay and be part of it, because it's going to be like what you were sharing, Claire, that you're part of a group where you have fortnightly calls. We're wanting it to be like that. So you know what I mean? So we're wanting it to be this space that you're constantly seeing more and deepening and but of course people could leave, that's absolutely fine, but the idea is that it's an ongoing exploration.
So brilliant, isn't it? It's like having the regular reminders of who we really are and what's really going on is, and also what I love is that, like, how clear it is that the search has ended, really. Like there's not more to, like, there's nothing that's not totally perfect about right now that we have to be looking for something else. And at the same time, I think probably certainly for the three of us, it's like no end to what's cool to see about it, really, is there? It's like there's no, like every single thing, once we start realizing that we're the space in which it all happens, then everything suddenly is we look at it from a completely fresh light. And I love that. It sounds like a lovely program, really nice.
We're really excited about it.
But can I ask, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but why women? Why did that come about?
It's not a case for me. It's not a case of that if a man wanted to be part of it, I wouldn't be saying that, oh, you can't be part of it because you're not a woman. There might well be some women that run groups which are women only, and there's a certain reason for that. I won't try and guess what that might be, but you know what I mean. But there could be incidences where a group is women only, but I don't see it. I just see it more of a case of the ripple effect that I've noticed from women speaking up, and there's just something about that. I can't even. It's not something I can articulate, really. But I don't know whether it's I don't know. I can't really articulate it, but it just felt the right thing, if I can say that. The right. That's what's unfolded.
Yes, I love that. I was hesitant to ask it because because I just love that that's what appeared and that's what presented itself. Yeah, and I really do. I see. Yeah, it seems that, you know, when I think of me, actually, perhaps with public speaking and speaking up in meetings, and how that was such a total horror for me for so long, and it was only a horror because of what I was thinking about myself and what other people were thinking about me, and how I thought I should be in a meeting, and it really, and I think that I'm not by, you know, not by a long way the only woman who's not speaking up in meetings or not more visible because of self-consciousness and fear of judgment and fear of getting things wrong, and maybe having less people in their lives that are doing the same, perhaps, you know. And so yeah, I really get that. I see how when we just start taking all of that so much less seriously, then whatever it is we're here to say is said so with such freedom and fun as well, and how people listen, you know, and that's a huge thing. Like, really noticing how people just didn't listen. The more caught up I was in what was, you know, how I was coming across, and did I sound confident, and all of that, you know, it's almost impossible, I think, for people to hear us when everything is we're just caught up in you know, in whatever we're thinking about ourselves that can never be true. And then when we're not caught up and we're just talking from the heart and talking about what we really know to be true, and then it's so powerful, isn't it? And so engaging then.
Absolutely. That's what I think, coming away. I think I mentioned this idea to you the first time, didn't I, Sara, after the first Freedom Factor or the second Freedom Factor? I can't remember, but it was that in particular. It was observing women, because the Freedom Factor is very much a space where people just kind of speak and share. You know, it is a bit of me up the front preaching, but not all of it. And it's remarkable. Like in January, it blew my mind that like women were sharing something, and it could just be a little story, could be something that they've seen for themselves, whatever it was. And then they were holding the room, you know, with them speaking their truth, and from here was holding the room. And some women were speaking so quietly, like everyone would lean in to listen, you know. I want to catch this. And then you'd see the ripples and the insights like go round as a result of that woman speaking, because someone else would go, oh yeah, and then oh yeah, and oh yeah. It was incredible when women speak. And the whole, you know, why women, it was really interesting you asked that, because I've never known why women. I don't know. I've just always been, from day one, it was, I'm going to work with women. And then it was, yeah, I don't know why. I've never felt the inclination to work with a man. And I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? I did have one coaching session with a man, and it was hilarious. It gave me so much understanding about my husband and the way he is, because I think at one point I said, so what do you hear in my words there? And he went, I'm sorry, what? Oh, sorry, I wasn't I was like, this is why I don't work with men. But yeah, I don't know why.
I think what I also was hearing in what you both shared there was this sort of permission piece, because I've just actually noticed in so Nicola currently runs a Facebook group, and in that group, Nicola shared a very raw kind of live stream, and from her heart sharing this honesty, other women have said, oh, me too. And then if you think about the Me Too movement, if you think about any movement, it starts with one person daring to speak, and then the next, oh, well, I can say something now. Oh, I can say something now. And it just goes on and builds and builds and builds. And before you know it, the world looks different.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want to create a story as to when women speak, because we don't know. But I can see potential. I can see possibilities.
Brilliant. I love that. I love what both of you are saying. So cool. So cool.
Is there anything else that any other questions that you've got about it, Claire?
Maybe the timing. When would it be? When do you think you might open the doors fully?
I always had this idea that it would be September, and Nicola had said, "Oh, that's too far away."
And then everything went tits up, and now it is September. So funny.
So yeah, I'm thinking September.
September it is.
I don't know if it comes across, but Nicola and I kind of see ourselves a bit yin and yang. Nicola is the kind of like the Jack Russell, and I don't know I can't think of a dog reference for me. A very old, slow one.
It was that. Do you remember the memes that we sent one another? And I sent you a meme of me like it was a little character. I can't remember what it was.
Was it cats? I think they were cats, weren't they?
And then Sara sent me a meme of a cat, and was it just like smoking, like with sunnies on? And then we both had the realization, those memes are us. Remember, I have to send them to Claire. Gets an idea of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Brilliant. So September.
Yeah, we're thinking September to open the doors for who's interested in being we know people are interested in being leaders, but opening the door for sign here you can sign up from September, and we'll get rolling. Whether the license bit will be all ready by then, it probably will. I think all aspects will be ready by then. We're going to be posting in the group, the discussion group, our logo, because When Women Speak there's this umbrella brand, so we've had to design the brand. We've got somebody who's in the discussion group is a designer, so we're working with her, and but there's one logo where we'd like people's opinion on, just see what they feel more drawn to. So we're at that stage, aren't we? The kind of fun stuff being created stage.
Nice, really nice.
Yeah.
Wow, it's fabulous. Love it.
Thank you. Do we want to kind of ask Claire that a few things, like, because we got Garrett's perspective, didn't we, on because the being drawn to Garrett and yourself was, I think, for both of us, because of how clean and simple you keep it, and how it just is kind of like Garrett said, like, he doesn't touch the personal. And I know that the way, I suppose I do. I think Garrett calls them does he call them allowances? What does he call it?
Concessions,
yeah.
Yeah.
I make a lot of concessions still, because I guess it just feels more accessible,
Yeah.
And so it's keeping it as clean and simple as possible, but still, because I know before this understanding, I listened to some of the people I understand now, and I listened to them and I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So that's just a bunch of words. There is nothing I can feel in those words. So I'm just going to have to So it's kind of like
just a bunch of words.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't want anybody to think, oh my God, that was just a bunch of words. But equally, I don't want to be pointing too much to the personal and making one big concession all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really, really get that. And it's interesting. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, it's such a crazy, I don't know, the whole thing just blows my mind, because really this is a concession, like the three of us on a call, you know, like if we're all one being, then we wouldn't have needed to have dialed in on a Zoom link, and I wouldn't really be seeing you two as separate people, which I am, even though at the same time I do know that everything that I'm experiencing about you is I'm experiencing through thought believed in the moment, and so it's so interesting. But I mean, one of the reasons I love working with Garrett so much is that right from the outset, when I first even heard about him, he was so resolutely not talking about the benefits of this like the personal benefits of this understanding of, you know, he just, it wouldn't even occur to him to talk about earning more money or better relationships or winning races and matches and stuff like that. He just does not do it. And that was really fascinating to me, because that seemed to be quite a lone voice really at that time, of saying over and over again, this is not about a personal benefit. It's not about the self becoming more successful or more able. It's about seeing beyond the self to what we really are, which can't be what we think we are ever. So I think it will be fabulous to have that backdrop for this, and while at the same time, it's also what he does so well, like that sort of love and support for people, which I'm really getting from you is what is really behind all of this, is what, you know, that sort of relentless loving of the people and supporting them and creating a space where everyone can be heard and at the same time having such a clean message of pointing back to all the way back to who we really are. I mean, I think there's nothing more powerful and nothing more brilliant really than that. The love and the clarity of pointing is spectacular.
Yeah, well, I know in the group, your book Real is one that's recommended if people are wanting to just to sort of hear more about what we're pointing to, and yes, it's been blowing people's minds.
Yes. Most of my clients are reading it. It's awesome.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you.
And I just feel that by having the fortnightly calls, that is what we're going to be able to do. We are going to be able to keep pointing people back. So even if somebody is saying, I'm just hearing words and they don't make it, you know, their word, one word after another is being said, I recognize that they're words, but they're nothing.
Yes.
I don't get it, or whatever it is, you know, we'll just be supporting people lovingly with that, you know, because it isn't an intellectual thing.
Yeah.
It might take somebody a while to realize that if they continue to try and figure it out, you know, that's futile. But, you know, but it doesn't matter how many times you tell someone to stop using your head to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will happen. It will happen when it happens, or it won't if it doesn't.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
There could be people that simply they like the idea of being a leader of the group, but after 4 months they feel it's just not for me because I don't get it, and that'll be, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean that they've failed at it or anything like that. You know, you can't fail at life.
Yeah, exactly. I think what's really cool, and I can imagine your fortnightly calls being like this, is how is the contrast between, there's so many, you know, we were talking with Nicola earlier about concessions, and there's so many places which are all about the concession, that are really only about the story and the content of the experience, and I think what's so refreshing is having the space that is like that rare space, really. I think there's probably nowhere else in our lives that we have that rare space which is only about the space in which the story comes about, you know, like it's really what's going on behind the story. And what we found is it's been really cool, like on Team Inside Out, how little really we know of each other's backgrounds and family life or job history or anything like that, and yet the connection and the understanding is so enormous. And yes, we think, well, I thought at least, that relating to people came from finding similarities, you know, did you go to the same school or whatever, but actually it's only ever in what is properly the same, you know, what's always true about ourselves. And I think, to have those calls every couple of weeks to remind people of that, I think there's no greater service that we can offer. It's brilliant. So cool.
Thank you for joining us, Claire. It's been lovely.